Namaste students. Now we will see the topic drugs and alcohol abuse. Drugs and alcohol abuse. Surveys and statistics show that drugs and alcohol has been on the rise, especially among the youth. Proper education and guidance may enable them to come out of that problem. So, proper education and guidance will help them. And here the drugs commonly abused are opioids, cannabinoids and coca alkaloids. The drugs which are commonly abused are opioids, cannabinoids and coca alkaloids. Majority of these are obtained from flowering plants or some of the fungi. Some of them are obtained from the fungi and majority are obtained from the plants, especially the flowering plants. Opioids, cannabinoids and coca alkaloids, we will have a look about this. First we will see opioids. Actually opioids are obtained from opium. So, here opium is a drug and opioids are actually pain relievers. Here drugs which bind to specific opioid receptors present in our central nervous system. So, central nervous system CNS has specific receptors for this opioid. So, opioid receptors are there in the central nervous system as well as gastrointestinal tract, they have the receptor. So, these are such drugs, analgesics or pain relievers are opioids. And the important opioid is heroin. Heroin is important opioid and it is commonly called as smack. It is commonly known as smack. Heroin is commonly known as smack and chemically when you see this, it is diacetyl morphine. Diacetyl morphine is heroin and it is white in color, odorless, parimala irudilla and bitter, kahi agirtade, crystalline substance. It is white, odorless, bitter, crystalline compound, that is heroin. And it is obtained by the acetylation of morphine. Acetylation of morphine produces heroin and it is extracted from the latex of poppy plant. It is obtained from the latex. Which part of the plant is used? It is the latex of the poppy plant is used and the poppy plant scientific name is Papaver somniferum. Papaver somniferum is a poppy plant and from the latex this drug is prepared, latex of poppy plant. And here this drug is usually snorted or injected. Snorted andre moosikolludu and or it can be injected. So, and it is a depressant that depresses the body activity, reduces the body activity, even the brain depressant. So, this is opioid. So, opioids are having, these are the drugs which have opioid receptors in the brain, I mean central nervous system, brain and spinal cord, then in the gastrointestinal tract, commonly known as SMAC and it is chemical, it is diacetyl morphine. So, acetylation of morphine gives the drug heroin and here it is white, colorless, bitter, crystalline compound and here it is obtained by latex of poppy plant. So, usually snorted or injected. It is a depressant of central nervous system. Then when you take another group of drug, that is cannabinoids. Cannabinoids are group of chemicals. These are group of chemicals which interact with cannabinoid receptors in our brain. So, here these are the group of chemicals which have specific receptors in our brain and natural cannabinoids are obtained from the inflorescences of plant called Cannabis sativa. The plant is Cannabis sativa. It is obtained from the inflorescence of plant cannabis sativa. The flower tops are used here. Flower tops, leaves and resin are used in various combinations to obtain different types of drugs. So, to produce marijuana or marijuana, hashish, charas and ganja. These are the drugs obtained from the plant cannabis sativa. Flower tops, leaves, resin in different combination it is used, and these drugs are obtained. Marijuana, hashish, charas and ganja are obtained. And here these are taken by inhalation. ಎಳೆದುಕೊಳ್ಳೋದು ಮೂಗಿಂದ, inhalation or oral ingestion, ಬಾಯಿಯ ಮುಖಾಂತರ ಸೇವಿಸುವುದು. So oral ingestion as well as inhalation. That's how it is taken, and definitely they have effect on cardiovascular system. So our circulatory system, heart, they will affect. Cardiovascular system will be affected by this type of drug, that is cannabinoid. The drug group is cannabinoid. So it is a group of chemical which interact with the cannabinoid receptors present in our brain, and it is obtained from cannabis sativa. Which part is obtained? Inflorescence. It can be the flower top, leaf or the resin can, from which different combinations of drugs can be made. Marijuana, hashish, charas and ganja can be obtained from this, and it affects the cardiovascular system of our body. Another group of drug is coca alkaloid. Coca alkaloid or cocaine. Coca alkaloid or cocaine, it is a drug, is obtained from coca plant, that is Erythroxylum coca. Plant name is Erythroxylum coca is a scientific name, and this is a native of South America. This is a native of South America. Erythroxylum coca is a native of South America, and here the cocaine is obtained from this plant. It is a coca alkaloid or cocaine, and actually this drug interferes with the transport of a neurotransmitter. Neurotransmitter is required for the normal functioning. At this normal, it interferes with the neurotransmitter function, and that neurotransmitter is dopamine. It is a neurotransmitter. Dopamine is a neurotransmitter. Dopamine is a neurotransmitter, and its transport will be affected by this drug, and it is commonly known as coke or crack. This drug is commonly known as coke or crack, and usually it is snorted. ನಶ್ಯದಾಗೆ ಹೇಳ್ಕೊಳ್ಳೋದು. So usually it is snorted. Then it stimulates our central nervous system. Central nervous system will be stimulated. It has a stimulating effect on our central nervous system, and it produces euphoria. Euphoria andre feeling of wellness or well-being. So feeling happy, that is euphoria. And hallucination, it produces hallucination too. Hallucination andre imaginary world it will create. Imaginary world. So ಒಂದು ಕಲ್ಪನಾ ಲೋಕ, ಕಲ್ಪನಾ ಪ್ರಪಂಚವನ್ನು ಸೃಷ್ಟಿಸ್ತದೆ these types of drugs. So they have a stimulating effect on the brain. At the same time they produce euphoria. ಒಂಥರ ತುಂಬ ಖುಷಿಯಲ್ಲಿ ತೇಲಾಡಿದಾಗೆ ಇರ್ತದೆ, and they produce that hallucinogenic effect they have. That means ಒಂದು ಕಲ್ಪನಾ ಪ್ರಪಂಚವನ್ನು ನಿರ್ಮಿಸ್ತದೆ. That is the effect of this drug. And other plants with hallucinogenic property are Atropa belladonna and datura. Atropa belladonna and datura, they have got hallucinogenic effect. Alkaloid which is extracted from this plant, they have hallucinogenic effect. Atropa belladonna and datura. So these are the three groups of drugs: opioids, cannabinoids and coca alkaloids. And opioids are obtained from Papaver somniferum. Latex part is used, and the common name, the drug is heroin, commonly known as smack, whereas cannabinoids are obtained from cannabis sativa, and here flower tops, leaves and resins are used and to obtain different combinations of the same, and here they have affecting the cardiovascular system of the body. When it is coca alkaloid, it is a cocaine which is obtained from the coca plant called Erythroxylum coca, and it interferes with the transport of dopamine. It is a type of neurotransmitter in our central nervous system and commonly known as coke or crack, usually snorted and stimulating action on the central nervous system, and it produces euphoria and hallucination. And other plants with hallucinogenic effect are Atropa belladonna and Datura. Abuse of drugs and alcohols. Here that already we have studied about that. Drugs like barbiturates, amphetamine and benzodiazepines and LSD, that is lysergic acid diethylamide, these are used as medicine, and that is for mental illness, to cure mental illness or depression or insomnia. Insomnia andre sleeplessness, nidraheenate. ಇದನ್ನೆಲ್ಲ ಗುಣಪಡಿಸಲಿಕ್ಕೆ they use these types of drugs, LSD, benzodiazepines, then amphetamines, then barbiturates and these opioids usually used for that. And morphines or morphine is very effective sedative as well as painkiller, which is a type of opioid. So, to treat medical purpose, as medicine, these are used. But when drugs are taken for a purpose of other than medicinal use, when it is taken, or frequency in which it is taken, abnormal frequency if it is taken, frequency that impairs one's physical, physiological and psychological functions, these are affected by consuming or taking the drug, then definitely it is known as drug abuse. It is called drug abuse. Usually for medicinal purpose, drugs will be taken to treat different types of ailments or diseases, and if it is taken for non-medicinal purpose or maybe in the frequency that actually impairs one's physical, physiological or psychological functions of the body, then definitely that is known as drug abuse. That has to be prevented. So, here other than drugs, it is the tobacco which has a major effect on our body. Tobacco usually it is smoked, chewed or it is used as snuff. ನಶ್ಯ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ತೇವಲ್ಲ ಹಾಗೆ ಯೂಸ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾರೆ. And nicotine is the alkaloid present in the tobacco. Nicotine is the alkaloid present in the tobacco that actually stimulates the adrenal glands to release adrenaline and noradrenaline. So, that will increase the BP, blood pressure. At the same time, heart rate also increases. Then apart from that, the persons who actually smoke, chew or take tobacco in the form of snuff, and usually there will be a chance of cancer of lungs, lung cancer, that is bronchogenic carcinoma. Then other than that, cancer of urinary bladder or throat, it is very common. Throat cancer is common. Then apart from that, there will be bronchitis, then emphysema. So, all such complications will arise in such persons. Then other terms related to this we have to see. One is adolescence and drug abuse. What is adolescent? It is a period or process. It is between 12 to 18 years of age. It is a period between 12 to 18 years of age, and during which there will be major biological and behavioral changes in that person. So, that is the most vulnerable phase. They are susceptible to such abuse, and maybe because of friendship or anything, there is a vulnerable phase. They should be very careful about this phase, and they have to develop more and more types of hobbies to relax themselves instead of going for such things. And here when there is drug abuse, they become addicted to the first it will be in the form of habit, then it will become addiction. So, what is addiction? Addiction is, it is a psychological attachment to a certain effects of drugs. So, here it is a psychological attachment to certain effects of drugs like euphoria. Euphoria and the feeling of well-being. ಒಳ್ಳೆ ಚೆನ್ನಾಗಿರ್ತದೆ ಅಂತೇಳಿ ಇರುವ ಆ ಒಂದು ಆಲೋಚನೆ, ಬಿಕಾಸ್ ಫ್ಲೋಟಿಂಗ್, ದಟ್ ತೇಲಾಡುವಂಥ ಪರಿಸ್ಥಿತಿ, ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ಹೇಳೋದು ಯುಫೋರಿಯಾ. And that will be there, then hallucination will be there. So they go for that mainly for due to this. And when there is seduction, and in the beginning only less dose of drug will do, but later on they become tolerant to that dose, and higher dosage of drug is needed. And dependence, what is dependence? It is the tendency of the body to manifest. It is the tendency of the body to manifest a characteristic and unpleasant withdrawal symptom or withdrawal syndrome if regular dose of the drug is abruptly stopped. All of a sudden, if it is stopped, they will face that withdrawal symptom. And severe headache will be there, shakiness of the hand, all such, and profuse sweating will be there. All such symptoms will be seen. And effects of drug and alcohol abuse. The common effects are reckless behavior, restless or reckless behavior will be, vandalism, and at the same time violence. And there will be, if it is taken in more dosage, it may end up with coma stage and death. It may lead to coma stage and death. And usually the personal life will be affected, and academic performance will be affected, and they will not go to school, college, work, and social life, family life, everything will be affected. And apart from that, health issues will be there. And liver cirrhosis, it is very common in alcoholic, the person who is taking alcohol, cirrhosis of the liver, where the living cells are replaced by a fibrous tissue. It will become orange in color, cirrhotic liver, alcoholic cirrhosis it is. And there will be alcoholic dementia also. Dementia andre maregulitana. So they will not remember anything, whatever happens during that phase they will not remember later on. So they will suffer from that. Apart from that, acidity, alcoholic blackout anta heltare. Acidic blackout iddage there is alcoholic blackout, ಏನು ಗೊತ್ತಿಲ್ಲ, ಏನೂ ನೆನಪಿರುವುದೇ ಇಲ್ಲ. So such complications are common here in this drug and alcohol abuse. Okay students, the last part in this is prevention and control of drug and alcohol abuse. How to prevent it, how to control it. First thing is avoid undue peer pressure. Usually what happens is because of the peer group they are vulnerable, or maybe for company's sake they start taking the drugs or alcohol. So such peer pressure should be avoided. Such peer pressure should be avoided. Comparison should be avoided. So usually they compare about the performance, all such things. The first thing is avoid such undue peer pressure. Then apart from that, education and counseling. So if they are provided with proper education and time to time counseling is done by the parents or teachers or experts in that field, definitely they will say they will not get attracted towards such things like drugs or alcohol or tobacco. And proper education should be given, and what are the ill effects of drugs or alcohol consumption or maybe the tobacco smoking, all such thing information is given, definitely they may not look that side. That's one thing. And proper time to time counseling to be done to the students, because they will be under lots of stress and tension about studies or anything related to that. So they have to they require that counseling during that time, because there is a teenage or the adolescent period and they will be vulnerable, and it is the nature of experimenting anything or adventures they are interested, and such means you have to education and counseling will provide a proper measure to control drug and alcohol abuse. And seeking help from parents and peer whenever they need help. So definitely they have to seek help from parents. Something happens, some changes are taking place, and if they are not able to manage or cope up the stress, all those things, definitely they have to tell to their parents. and parents will have some of the method or measures or expert suggestion they can take, or even the peer groups, friends also can with the friends also they can talk and they can solve the problems. Many problems they can discuss and they can solve it instead of going for the drugs or the things. So, one more aspect is looking for danger signs. If anybody is taking drugs and all, if such danger signs are there, if they are not coming to the work regularly, not going to the class regularly, if there is any change in the behavior, sleeping pattern, eating pattern, all such things, if the parents notice or teachers notice or the peer friends also notice, they have to bring to the notice of the concerned authority or the parents definitely, so that a timely help will save their life. Then if it is, if they are already addicted, so definitely for them the professional help as well as medical help should be given for de-addiction. And professional help in the sense that counselors will be there, and institutions they have to maintain counselors, and time to time help will be given to the such students, and at the same time if it is required medical experts to be consulted during that time. So, that is how they can overcome this problem. De-addiction can be done efficiently. Better thing is say no to drugs and alcohol, smoking also, that keeps us healthy, and we will develop all good habits or hobbies to relieve our tension and stress. Thank you, students.